move ahead now to the next step, the next phase. We've got the client in. What we're going to want to do is we're going to want to produce an audit report that we can then use to enter measures in that are going to be applied to this particular residence as part of the weatherization program. So what we're basically going to do is we'll create a job and define and state that the audit information is complete. We're going to create a job, the audit information complete. We're going to change our job status to audited, and we're going to go into the priority audit screens and actually add measures and link the measures to this particular job for this particular residence or this particular client. The only thing that's kind of unique here is that if we go in and add a door or window measure, replace door, replace window measure, that measure is going to require state approval. So we have to wait until the state approves that measure. If there's a door or window measure outstanding against a job, against a client, that job can't move forward in the process until the state approves it. So it will in fact lock the job from moving forward in the system. Obviously it can't physically lock the job, but it locks the job in the system from being able to move forward. Once that's done, once it's approved, we can actually create work orders, and we'll go ahead and do the work order process and process that. Process the work orders where we actually do the work. So again, I'm sitting here, we should all be on the screen at client information with an eligible client. And the first thing I want to do is I want to go to the job list. Right down here, client job list. And right now this client has no job, so I sit here and I say I want to add a job. So just click on the add job button. And it'll bring up a blank job. Now at this point, the job ID can be overwritten. So your job ID can be anything you want. The client ID number is right now generated by the system, but the job ID can be anything you want. So for example, I could say that this is my is an error job number 122 or something like that. So I can override that. And so this is your basic. This is basically what we would call a site assessment form. So this is a little more detailed than you would normally take in as normal client intake. This is going to get some basic information that the weatherization auditor would be able to go on site and use to go on site. Yes, sir?
I cannot bring up the job. I cannot bring it. How we've already done the assessment.
Yeah, you're still incomplete. So you see again, if your client is incomplete, you won't be able to get to the job menu, and it's generally incomplete because you have one document right here that's not acknowledged. When we look at reports, there's actually a report that'll tell you what jobs are incomplete and how to find out incomplete jobs. But you all right now? So again, what happened was he had just one document that was not listed as having been received or acknowledged. And as long as you have a document that is the document either has to be not required or has to be completed. You can't leave one blank. If you leave it blank, you'll sit here at the incomplete app level. And if you're at incomplete app, you will not be able to create a job. So again, the system is enforcing, kind of the proper process here. So you have to have the application complete and the client eligible for you to be able to go to the client job list and actually add the job. And you normally add one job per client. If for some reason somebody might be coming back for some kind of re-weatherization or something like that, there would be a reason to add a second job. So technically you could add a second job for an existing client. you had somebody you weatherized 2 or 3 years ago and they came back and they qualified for a re-weatherization, you could add them back as another job. You wouldn't have to add them as a client. Yes, ma'am?
Question. In order for us to complete the house information, will we use the BCJOS to do this? Because it's asking number, I guess, of fireplaces maybe replaced or repaired.
No.
Do we have to?
What it's asking for here in this form, this is the current assessment. This is what the current house currently consists of.
Okay, when the renovators go out, that's what it looks like.
And normally what you would do is you'd normally hopefully be able to get this from the client over the phone, or when they came in, they'd be able to give you this much information. Because what this initial assessment's going to do is it's going to go on a form that the auditor takes out, just position them properly when they physically go to the residence to actually do the initial audit. So this is just asking current house information.
Pre-assessment, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So again, what it's going to ask me is something like the current house type, so I can again declare the home as a wood frame home with full basement and an open joist attic. This list of home types is again dictated by the state. If there's something grossly missing here, let Tony or Debbie know, and we can get it added. Or if there's something you just absolutely never use, take it off. But this is the way it sits right now. You have about 2 weeks to get us the information before we lock this stuff down and start to put it into the production system. That's why you want to play with this training system. If there's anything missing here, let us know so we can get the right information in, because we got about 2 weeks. We want to get this kind of locked down so we can move it into production. So I'm going to pick a wood frame home as my house, and I come over here and give it the length and width. So let's say I've got a 36-foot long by 24-foot wide house. The floor is 8 feet high, normal 8-foot ceilings. This is floor number 1. Just remember, this is the floor number. This is not the number of floors. So this is floor number 1, 36 by 24 feet. You technically can have multiple floors where the second and third floors are different sizes than the first floor. They have different square footage. So that's why you can put it in this way. But generally, it's a single floor home, so you just put that it's a single floor home in there. If this was a two-story house, even though if it was a 2-story colonial or something, you'd still put in 36, 24, 8, and then 2 here to tell them that it's a two-story home. You wouldn't put the 2 here, because this is the floor number. So that's a little critical point. Then the other information that we're asking for. So again, what the system does automatically, then based on the input data you gave it, is it calculates the square footage for each floor and the total volume of the facility, of the residence. Therefore, if, for example, if they have a full basement and it's a finished basement and they heat it, then that would count as part of the heated volume. So you want to put in the basement as a floor. But if it's just a basement and it's not actually part of the normal heated volume of the house, then you don't put it in. But what we're really trying to do is calculate the heated volume. And then the other information we're asking for over here on the other side of the form, we want to know the domestic hot water heating type for some further measures. We recheck the basement type. The things about the number of smokers, number of wood stoves, number of fireplaces, number of unventilated heaters, number of bedrooms is not, again, not required as part of the weatherization program, but it is required if you want the system to properly calculate. Now we'll get into where all the auditors can appreciate things and everybody else will glaze over, the technical people. But if you're doing blower door directed sealing, where you're sealing a house based on values from a blower door and you're getting your pressure readings, the system can actually calculate the target value based on the house size and all that kind of stuff, and things like the number of bedrooms, the number of smokers and pets, the number of occupants. Because again, you need a certain amount of air leakage in a house, right?